It's Wednesday. You know what that means. We're back with another Wednesday Eye project here at Rad City Design Studio. I'm really excited about this little project. In theory, it's going to be awesome, but I actually have to try it and figure out, like, is this actually doable? So, what we're gonna be working on today is a jellyfish, and I'm kind of stoked about it. So what I'm gonna do, I bought this little mold from Hobby Lobby. I think it was like $2. I think it's meant for bath bombs, but it was over in like the candle making / resin area. But I mean, they sell these all over the place. Like Let's Resin has one, you can buy them everywhere. So I'm gonna start, I'm using this side of the mold because it has this lip area here, and I'm gonna use that for a very specific purpose. So first step, I'm going to fill the very bottom, that little hole down there at the bottom. So I'm gonna pour just enough to coat that bottom so that when I'm working on this, obviously I don't want my resin falling through. And I'm using this guy today because I forgot to charge my Let's Resin wireless lamp. So bringing out my old trusty steed. Okay, that feels pretty good now. So I'm gonna set my light aside. Now I want to give it, like I said, I'm going for like if a Jawbreaker candy was a jellyfish. So that's kind of like what I'm aiming for here. So I'm gonna give it some pink splotches, and I'm gonna do that by adding a little bit of pink ink to my toothbrush here. And then I'm gonna just flick it. Just kind of all over. Just give it a really good coat. Okay, so that's looking decent. I need to wipe my hand off. Okay, so now I have some little splotches and things like that. What I want to do now is kind of create a, like, I'm gonna create the body of the, okay, so now I'm gonna create the body of my jellyfish, and I'm gonna do that first by outlining this outer ring that I was talking about earlier, using this and then letting it like naturally flood to the center. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just gonna like as fast and neatly as I can. I'm just gonna pour along, and then as I'm doing that, it's going to just start to naturally run toward the center and pool down there at the center. And this is gonna give it almost like a little bit of a lacy effect. There we go. Okay, and then now I'm gonna cure. So this is creating the body of my jellyfish, and it'll give it some interesting effects once we start like building things up here. Okay, so now I have, for the most part, everything is well cured. And what I want to do now is give the inside of this whole piece a coating of mica. And I want a mica that's gonna kind of like have a blue glow to it. So I know I have a couple of different shades that would work. Like this one I think would be really nice. It has like a blue purple flash. So I'm going to open this, and then I'm gonna dust the inside of this down using this color. And I have this little set of makeup brushes that I bought at the dollar store a while ago. And I'm just going to dust the inside with this color. Like that. And then I'm just, you know, going all the way around it and trying to get an even coat. Okay. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Or I should say it's looking how I expected it to look. There we go. Okay, so I have some like texture in there now. I have some color. I am noticing now that like right here, there's some huge gaps versus these tiny gaps. So that's good to know. I'll keep an eye on that. I'm gonna just shoot a little curing action here. Okay, so now that I have everything dusted down, I'm gonna give this all a thin coat of resin. So I'm just gonna kind of like pour a good amount right here on the side. And then I'm going to keep twisting it like this until it's all coated. And I may need to put a little bit more in there at some point, but I want to try to stretch this as far as I can get it to go. So I'm just going to use a back and forth motion just to make sure that it fully fills all of the little nooks and crannies. Okay, so for the most part, this is cured. It'll continue to cure while I work on the next part. So next up, I need to make the tendrils that are in the middle. I'm not sure even what those are called, but I should find out, so BRB. Okay, the next order of business is I need to make the tentacles for my jellyfish. So I have this cellophane window cling or window sticker film that I'm gonna try to utilize to do that. So this is basically a big sticker that you would put on a window. So I'm going to lean into the sticker-like behavior of it. And I'm going to kind of cut like a V shape out, like that. And then I'm going to give it a few snips along the way so that when it starts to twist because of the heat that I'm going to apply to it, it will not have any resistance because it's all one long strip. So hopefully this will help the twisting process. Okay, now I need to take the backing off. And hopefully it won't give me any problems. There we go. Okay, and then now I'm going to kind of like fold this top part, and then I'm gonna stick it down like that. And then as I go along, I'm going to like create little creases by kind of pulling each side together. Now, it doesn't need to be perfect, and it certainly doesn't need to follow any certain order. Jellyfish have tentacles of all sizes, so really just be creative with this, and don't beat yourself up if it looks a little crazy, because it's gonna look a little crazy, and that's why we're doing it. Okay, so I know it looks wild right now, and you're like, surely that's not how you're gonna do this. I promise you, just stay tuned. Okay. Now I'm just sticking it down to give it something to hold on to when I hit it with my heat tool. So, okay, so I have it trimmed out, I have it laid down. I'm going to turn on my heat tool, and I'm turning it up to the 6 dial. So right between 5 and 6, and I'm going to use the higher setting. So here we go. Okay, so now it has a little bit of shape, and it's going to give us a bit more to work with as we put it in. I'm happy with the way some of this curled up. I'm not super happy with this area right here in the middle, so I'm going to try to hit it a little bit more with that part. Okay, now I'm gonna just kind of trim all of these little tendrils and tentacles down to size. And some of them were more successful than others, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna kind of like crinkle them up a little bit, like that. This one's probably okay. I wish it was a little more twisty, but that's okay. All right, so we've got a couple more of these little tentacle pieces. And we're going to just like literally plant them inside of our jellyfish. So I'm gonna start with the first one because this one's gonna be like the longest one, and then I'll build these around it. So yeah, I think that'll be cool. So let me put my gloves back on. Okay, so first step, I'm going to just put a little dollop of resin right down in the middle. And I'm gonna put this there and hold it in place and cure. Okay, so now that it's in place, I wanna give it a little bit more body. So I'm going to pour this just along the top here and let it kind of like cascade down on both sides. And then I'll cure. And this is just gonna add a little bit more thickness and weight to the piece. And also, like if I bend it a little bit, it will kind of help hold the shape a bit. Now, strangely enough, because the resin relies on like a thermodynamic situation, chemical reaction, the thinner your layer, the longer it takes to cure. So it might take a little while for this piece to cure right here. Okay, next up, I got this guy. And again, I'm just gonna kind of like have these pieces kind of dance around the piece that I just put down. Okay, so I'm gonna put that kind of like right here-ish. Kind of awkward to hold on to, but here we go. Okay, I added a few more long pieces to this to give it a bit more length. And because I think I want to like kind of turn it into a sun catcher maybe. But what I'm doing is just making sure that it's nice and cured. And then as I go through, I'm just kind of like dropping a little tiny bit of resin around and letting it kind of travel down. And as it does that, it's creating little bubbles along the surface, which gives the, it gives even more texture. So I need to cure it before those bubbles fully drip off. And then that way they kind of get frozen in time, which looks really neat, I think. Okay, yeah, like right there, that one's just like suspended in time. And it just kind of gives it a bit more drama, and it gives the story a bit more like realism. I'm gonna kind of go along this one a little bit more. Maybe all of these at the bottom here need a little bit of drizzle. Because the more that we have built up at the bottom, the more sturdy these really thin pieces are going to be. Now at the bottom here, it does kind of look a little hot messy. And I think what I'd like to do is put a little bit of sequins. I have some like super iridescent, like old school sequins that look really cool in the black light. So I think I might put some of that in there, but I kind of want to see what this looks like first before I do that. So I'm gonna just give it a few more minutes of curing time, and then I will go about doing that. Okay, so time for the reveal. I'm gonna crack it open and see what it looks like. So I'm just gonna very gently kind of break the seal along the edges, trying not to jostle my tentacles. And realistically, I could have taken it out of here a while ago, but I didn't. So let's see. And then I'll push from down here. Ooh, she's looking pretty cute. Okay, so I definitely need to clean up her edges a little bit, and I want to put something up here at the top. I don't know yet what. I'll figure that out though. But I do think she needs a bit more filling. Like, I don't mind these little holes. Those aren't so bad. Yeah, maybe those will be okay. But I do need to put something down there to like kind of mask that hot mess at the very, very bottom. I'm gonna use this side this time just to hold it in place. And I'm gonna put a little bit of resin to start with. Put my glove back on. Okay, I wish that this wasn't laying the way it was. We'll play with this guy and see what we can do with him. He might need like a trim or something, or maybe tuck him around like that. Maybe this one, tuck around like this. There we go. Okay. All right, so I have a little bit of resin down there at the bottom. I'm going to sweep in some of this iridescent sequin. And I actually spilled some on my desk, so I'll just use the stuff that I spilled. I don't want a lot of it, just enough to create some refraction inside. So that it, tosses the light a bit more. Okay. Oh, she's looking so cute. Okay, so I have to decide kind of what my game plan is for these little gaps. I don't know what I want to do just yet. I wonder if maybe I could block them off with like some jewels. Would that be cool? Okay, so I'm gonna cut a circle out of this, and I think I'll even just like use this as the mold. So I'm just going to, let me do it over here so there's a little less waste. And I've got my scissors. Circle doesn't need to be perfect. I'm just aiming to try to get something in an approximate circle. Like that. Like that. The more wonky, the better, because the shape we're going for is kind of an organic shape. So I'm gonna do like a spiral cut. And as I do that, I'm gonna start kind of wide, and then once I get to the bottom, I want it to be a little thinner. So I'm going to kind of make the first round a little thicker, and then as I get back over here, I'm gonna start going thinner, like this, and even thinner as I get closer to that middle piece. Okay, so now I have a spiral, and I'm going to peel off the backing piece, but only a little bit. I'm not going to peel off the entire strip. I just want to expose like one round, like one circulation worth. And I'm just going to snip that like that. Okay, so now the rest of it's still kind of, the rest of it is still solid, and it still has the backing, but that first starting bit is sticky. So I'm gonna lay it in here, and I'm just gonna kind of like press it down around the outer edge. It's not like critical for you to do it any certain specific way, but you don't want it to get tangled up like this. And it's all like iridescent, so it's hard to see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, and then this will be like a tentacle, so I may need to actually feed it a little further along. Here we go. And I'm just gonna kind of like let it fall where it may, like this. Okay, now here at the bottom, I'm gonna put something on here just to weigh it down. So once again, I'm gonna expose the sticky and then cut just a little bit of it off, just so that I can have a little bit of stickiness to attach something to. Okay, and then I just want something that's going to be heavy enough to weigh this down. This is kind of light, but it might work. Let's see. Nope, that doesn't work at all. Okay, I need something heavier. Let's see here. What about... I'm just gonna use this rock for now. And then that will help me stretch it as I hit it with my heat tool. Okay, so I just want it to kind of constrict a little bit. I don't want it to constrict too much. Okay, there we go. Look at her, she's gorgeous. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of drape her around a little bit like that. And then this gives a lot of movement too. It just really makes it look as if it's like flying through something cool, you know? Okay, now I still want a more blue effect to this, and I don't know what I want to do to get that effect. So I'm going to look around. Let's see, what do I have? Okay, I have some strips of the cellophane, and I think what I'm gonna do, because I just want this to look like this jellyfish is made of dreams and wishes, and you know, invented by like a 13, or invented by like an 8-year-old girl who thinks that one day she'll own a puppy, because that's essentially who I am inside my heart. So I'm just gonna take some strips, put them in there, and kind of like wrinkle them up and like put them in there and see how it looks. This is definitely the ugly stage of my piece, so I'm hoping that this will look cool and it all comes together. But of course, everything's, you know, a learning experience, so even if it doesn't look great, it'll still be, I still had a lot of fun making it, so he'll just be my little garden buddy. I hang him from our patio. Okay. I love how, depending on how you're looking at the cellophane, it can look blue, it can look pink, it can look yellow or green. That's such a cool thing to me. Why is light such an amazing, fascinating thing? I remember when I was a child, and I live in Florida, so afternoon rainstorms are just a way of life. And after each rainstorm, like especially in the summer, the sky would just turn this brilliant yellow color, and I was obsessed with trying to capture the way that light made my soul feel. And I swear I've been chasing that ever since. Okay, I should have taken the backing off of all of this before I cut it, but okay, I have all of it in there now. I still have a few pieces that I can use afterward, but everything's in there now, and I'm just gonna hit it with my heat tool to make it all just kind of constrict a little bit. Okay, by adding a little bit of resin to the tentacle, it's going to do two things. First, it's going to make it look like it has water droplets on it, which I think is a kind of cool technique. And then it also is going to, it's gonna also weigh it down a little bit so that when we go to hang it, it's gonna have a little bit more strength and depth. Okay, since you've been gone, I added this like bead cap thing so that I could have a bail. It was originally like a brass color, so I painted it with a marker so it'd be silver. What I just did is I cut like a scalloped edge border from the cellophane tape or the cellophane cling, and I'm just gonna put it like all along the edge so that it kind of like creates a little apron sort of deal. I'm not really sure like the anatomy of a jellyfish, but I don't know what else like you would call that. I should have looked up the anatomy of a jellyfish, but this is, listen, this isn't like First We Feast or anything. It's Rad City Design Studio, and we don't do that here. Okay, and then here, and I might have to cut a little bit more. It's pretty close. Let's see, let me just grab a tiny bit more. She's looking pretty freaking cute so far. I'm gonna do just a tiny bit of resin on the inside just to make sure that everything stays into place, and I'll be right back. Okay, so a couple of the things that I did while I was off camera, I finished adding that scalloped edge, and then I literally just kind of poured resin over it, like slice by slice, just a little bit at a time, and kind of let it drip as I cured. That way, exactly like, so what I've been doing is I added the scalloped edge, and I'm just adding a little bit of resin ever so often, just to build that up a little bit. And then if it drips a little bit while it's curing, it just adds to the effect. So I'm just letting it kind of do its thing. Yeah, see, I caught a little drip right there. It's just adding even more to that like dreamy underwater effect. So I also added a little hook at the top. That's just so that I can hang it from wherever its eventual home will be. And I'm trying to decide kind of like how I feel about this little dude. I think it's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna go take it outside for a little bit and see what it looks like in the sun. So let's go outside. Okay, I am absolutely obsessed with how this looks. She's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, the colors, guys. I'm absolutely obsessed with this. I think she turned out really cool. I love the movement that's in the piece. I love that it's, you know, not necessarily freestanding, but it is all one piece. It looks so cool no matter what color light is hitting it. And it looks especially cool in black light. Check her out. Wow, she looks amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out and making this jellyfish with me. I had such a good time. Hopefully you did too. It seems like you guys really enjoyed these AI videos. So if you see anything that you want me to try to tackle next, send it to me either on Facebook or Instagram, or you can email me. I'll put my email down in the description box. All of the tools and things that I use to make this will be in the description box as well. Go make something awesome this week, and as always, stay rad. If you enjoyed watching me make this awesome jellyfish, be sure to check out last week's AI video where I made some drip art hair clips. Click here now.